This is Dr. Green, and today we're going to talk about how bent over rows can actually cause back pain if done improperly. So it's not uncommon for us to see patients in the office who were working out at the gym and doing bent over rows and all of a sudden had an onset of back pain, or had some mild back pain that became more aggravated by doing bent over rows. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the flaws during this exercise that contribute to pain and some of the underlying mechanisms that cause that. All right, so before we dive into some of the flaws, we want to mention bent over rows can be a great exercise to do in the gym if done right. Some of the ways that it goes wrong and creates back pain include too much flexion in the back that puts a lot of stress on the back, letting the weight get too far out in front, or jerking the weight up a bit that just puts a lot of strain on the back. So let's demonstrate that first one of rounding in the back too much. So when we set up for the bent over row, we want the back to be in a pretty neutral position, meaning it should be pretty straight, right? It's okay to have a little bit of flexion or a little bit of an extension as long as that's neutral for you, okay? So when we're in that neutral position, if I row, right, my back is gonna stay in that same position. If I'm really rounded, what happens is that puts a lot of pressure on my lower back. So when I do go to pull the weight off the ground, that's the area that's going to kind of make up for that tension, and that's going to take the brunt of the force, okay? So number one is rounding through the back. The second one is letting the weight get too far out in front of us. And what this does is similar to rounding in the back. When the weight gets in front, it moves the fulcrum, right, or the point that kind of bears the most load in the spine towards like the upper portion of the lumbar spine. So having that weight out in front is going to add more total force to that area than having it be closer to the body, where I'm going to minimize those forces and really be able to be in a stable position and not put excessive force on the lumbar spine, okay? The last one that we see is when somebody goes to lift the weight, sometimes they'll try to gain a little bit of momentum by extending the back, right? Moving and almost jerking the weight up and then going back into a flexed position, okay? So that little jump and excessive movement of the back isn't necessarily isolating the muscles that we're trying to hit in the shoulder blade area, but it's also causing a lot of movement in the lower back, which if you've watched our other videos, we want to be able to minimize that movement in the back while it's under load to be able to minimize the risk of injury.